What's up, everyone? Here I am again. I'm going to talk about Brett Favre, whether I think he should stay or should he go. This is my thoughts. I'd like to hear your thoughts and comments. Well, anyways, here's what I think. Before we have to go through this whole Brett Favre drama in the offseason once more, will he retire? Will he stay for 2010? This is what I think. I think he should stay for 2010. And here's why I think he should stay for 2010. I mean, the guy still has it. He really does. He is still a great quarterback. I don't care that he's 4 years old. Age does not mean shit. He is playing very, very good. He had like the best touchdown to interception ratio this season. He played phenomenal. And he made the Vikings from good to great. I mean, look what he's done. I mean, Favre has just opened up this team to be a pass-first team. I mean, and he had a great year with the Vikings. He led them to a 12-4 season and to the NFC Championship. So Favre has had just a freaking phenomenal year. I mean, and this team right now, the Vikings, I mean, like Sidney Rice. Look what he's done with Sidney Rice. He made Sidney Rice into a Pro Bowl receiver. And I mean, Berrien just played very good this year. I mean, Berrien's very underrated. Shenko's a very good tight end. I mean, he has a great offensive line. He has a very young team around him. And not to mention, he has a great running game with Adrian Peterson and Chester Taylor. So yeah, I mean, he's got a pretty damn good offensive line with Bryant McKinney, Steve Hutchinson. Yeah, he's got a pretty damn good offensive line. I believe Phil Lodeholt as well. He's got a pretty damn good offensive line. And then on the defensive side, Vikings got a pretty damn good defense as well. They got Jared Allen, Ray Edwards, the Williams Wall up on the defensive line. They got a freaking beast defensive line. They have great corners. They got Cedric Griffin. They got Antoine Winfield, who's a hard hitter. Very good player, very underrated. One of the most hard-hitting players in the NFL. You got great linebackers with Ben Lieber, E.J. Henderson, Chad Greenway. So yeah, I mean, you got a great secondary, great D-line, great linebackers, great offensive line. He's got like a whole young team around him, Brett Favre, and he can still play well. I mean, what would Sidney Rice be without Brett Favre? Nothing. Alright? He would not be anything. I mean, and Berrien, like I said, he's underrated. I mean, and he made this team into a pass-first team, which the Vikings needed. I mean, the Vikings, if it wasn't for Brett Favre there, the Vikings would not be in the NFC Championship game. No, they would not. Because, I mean, they just wouldn't. And, I mean, I think Favre should definitely come back. I mean, anyways, other than having all them great players on it near him and having such a great team around him, he also has another year left on his contract as well. So, hell yeah. Why not come back for a 2010 season? I say hell yeah, just come back. I mean, because, I mean, I think if you retire this year, you're making a huge mistake, Brett. Because you know you want to play. Because these last 2 times you came out of retirement, you put us through all this shit. Like after in 07 when you lost the NFC Championship the first time this decade against the Giants when you threw that pick. You said you were going to retire and you cried at the podium and left. Even though I knew you would come back. But then year after, all you hear in the for 30 days in the summer, Brett Favre, is he going to come back? There was possible talk Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Chicago, Detroit, New York Jets. Brett wanted to go to the Vikings, but they wouldn't release him, so he decided to go to the Jets. And he started out well with the Jets, starting out 8-3, but going 1-5 in his last. No. 1-4 in his last 5 games. The only win coming from the Buffalo Bills at the Meadowlands, 30-27. That was their only win. And they ended up missing the playoffs, going 9-7. And Favre even told Ed Werder that would be my last game ever played. Look what happens. He comes back. We have to go through all this other stuff again. He signs a contract with the Vikings. Plays great. He does. This year he got voted to the Pro Bowl. And I can definitely see why, but ankle injury. Favre, you definitely still have. In that NFC Championship game, you kept taking shots. You kept taking shot after shot after shot. You came right back. You battled back. And you showed the Saints that you weren't going to lay down, and you didn't. Even though you didn't win, you showed them you wouldn't lay down. And Favre, look what else he's done. Like I said, he won them the NFC North Division title. He had the best touchdown ratio he's ever had in his career. Without him, the Vikings wouldn't even be near there. And if they lose him, if they lose Brett Favre, they're not going to be a Super Bowl contending team like they were this year. They're not. Because Tavares Jackson is not the answer. I'm sorry, Viking fans, but he's not the answer. Sage Rosenfels, no, he's not either. Sage Rosenfels, I can remember times where when the game was on there, he was playing great throughout, and then final minutes or so, he just chokes, like that game against Indianapolis, where he threw 3 picks to the Colts when leading 27-10. You give Manning the ball, and he just rammed it down your throats. And then other times when he fumbled the ball in Indianapolis with a 27-10 lead, you give Manning the ball, a great field position. What do you know? He throws it to Reggie Wayne. Game over. They win 31-27, all because of Sage Rosenfels. So neither of them are the answer. Brett Favre is the answer. They want to be a contending team again. He's the answer. Because that's the Vikings. That was their missing piece forever. Having that quarterback. Having that legit quarterback that didn't screw up. In other times, like how in 2008, if Peterson did not get enough touches or he didn't get over 100 yards, the Vikings weren't going to win. No, the Vikings weren't going to win. But this year, when Peterson was held under, I remember a couple of times when Peterson had only 50-some yards, both times against Green Bay, they won. Minnesota won. Both times against Green Bay, Minnesota, they held Peterson over 50-some yards, and they still won. Because if it wasn't for last year, if they didn't have him, without Peterson getting the amount of touches or amount of yards, they weren't going to win. No, they weren't. But with Favre there, they will. And he still has a rocket arm behind him. I know he wants to win the Super Bowl. Again, I know he does. And hey, you got 1 more year left on your contract. Why not do it? Why not do it? And you get another chance to beat the Green Bay Packers again and sweep them, possibly. And I think if you come back another year, I think that sets you up the favorites to win the NFC North. I don't know, guys. You tell me what you think on the comments below.